Alright guys, welcome back to Higurashi. Oh, there it is. Sunday. The fireworks I heard before noon were probably the announced opening of the festival. The weather certainly was the festival weather. It was cloudy. The television forecast was calling for possible downpours during this evening and lasted until around midnight. But as long as it was raining at the moment, the festival would go on. The festival had to open or it wouldn't begin. Their Friday shrine grounds were probably decorated beautifully for their big performance that only happened once a year. Many paper lanterns were hung up on auspicious colors of red and white, the sound of electric motors at the stalls, the voices of kids running around, the epic families watching them smiling. Today was the festival of the Tatarigoroshi. Was anyone already partaking in the festivities? What about Satoko? Has she forgotten her days of suffering just for a few moments while smiling at that brilliant smile she hadn't in so long? This will probably be the longest day of my life. It will be a day I would remember vividly for as long as I lived. I told my parents I'd go to the festival this evening and lounged about during the early afternoon. We may have lived under the same roof, but they couldn't help being surprised by the deviation from how I usually spent my time. Glancing at my parents out the corner of my eye, I went to the front door. I tied my shoes just a little tighter than normal, as if to express the firmness of my resolve in those knots. When I decided to murder Satoko's uncle, I was in such a state of excitement I almost went crazy. And when I was planning out the act of a murder, which went directly against all the morals fostered in me thus far, I was in such a state of calm I almost thought I had lost my emotions. And then yesterday, when I learned Satoshi made exactly the same phone call as me, I didn't know how to describe the muddled feelings I had then. And now entering today, right now, I had lacked all the emotions I had possessed until now. To make a simple analogy, it was the kind of feeling you might get right after you wake up when you're still half asleep and don't feel anything very clearly. I had no anger towards that man for the violence he committed against Satoko, nor did I feel sadness towards her or sympathize with her. I felt no discontent towards my friends who had just waited and watched, never reaching out to her with any help, and so no nervousness or fear towards the day that had finally come. Yes, right now you could say I was in the best possible condition for carrying out a murder. When it came down to it, I would probably need to let my violent emotions take control. But right now, up until that moment, I would be like an insect. I would slowly, surely, and silently move towards my one objective, and then when I had my prey, I'd attack like a bullet. There's no emotion in that. Just a creepy mindset insects possessed. That sort of sneaking feeling was just the best. I would kill Satoko's uncle like he was a worm. I had to laugh a little at thinking that way, thinking like an insect. Tug, I tightened my laces one more time and walked out the door. I brought the shovel out of the front storeroom. I would need to dig the man's grave. The shovel was a convenient one made for camping. If I twisted it so like it split into three, I could easily hide it in my bag. I twisted the shovel and dismantled it. And even though I'd done it countless times before, I had trouble for some reason. Like I was suddenly clumsy now. I knew why. It wasn't because I was nervous. My weak-willed self deep within me was hesitant. I knew the act of dismantling the shovel was the first step I'd take to becoming a murderer. God, the last twist was conspicuously difficult, but I finally submitted before the strength of my determination. The area around Sotoko's house was outside my circle of activity. But even just riding my bike in the middle of the day like this man seemed suspicious to an observer in person. I definitely want to avoid meeting and talking to someone I knew. With that in mind, I chose the route to my destination carefully. I didn't mind going the long way around. With how long this day would be, I could never be too careful after all. So I was fortunate enough to run across anybody on my way to the planned site of the crime. I wasn't superstitious at this point, but it was a good omen. The place I would dig the hole was in this grove, a little further in the woods. I was worried I might not make it to the same place as before, since there were no signs to guide me, but I read there smoothly as expected. I took another look around, not even a hint of human presence. The air was a little damp, but it was comfortable in the cool shades of the trees. I took the disassembled shovel out of my bag and began skillfully putting it together. And I stuck the tip of the shovel into the soft-looking patch of ground and pushed on it with my foot. The shovel would split into the earth if I put some strength to the foot. The act of doing so seemed awfully like the point of no return and made me hesitate. I was just digging a hole with the shovel, but it made me gulp hard. Calm down, Kishi, my bear. Let's do a countdown. Get it done on the count of 3, okay? Alright. 1, 2. I couldn't do it on the countdown despite it just being sticking being sticking in the shell onto the ground, and I had to cut it down 5 or 6 times. Damn, I'm just sticking in a hole. This is pathetic. As I thought that, I put strength into my heel like I was stepping on something unpleasant, split, giving a sharp noise. Who? It was only soft at the beginning. The roots of stones quickly got in my way, informing me just how hard it was to dig a hole big enough for a person. No decent person would ever come here anyway. Maybe it would be enough to cover him up with some dirt. Every time my knives out like that crept into my mind, I just bit down on it with my teeth and dug even harder. I've dug enough now. I could hide him like this. Every time I thought that, I would go down into the hole and grew disappointed how shallow it was and returned to digging. The thin layer. Sorry about that, guys. The thin layer of sweat on my brow eventually formed the drops that fell to the ground. My back was in even worse shape. What damn shirt adhered to my skin, and it felt so disgusting. The things I couldn't stand the most were the mosquitoes. Maybe they were attracted by the scent of my sweat. The white and black striped mosquitoes would cling to me whenever I would let my guard down. It was hot. It was disgusting. I was sticky. I was itchy. All those uncomfortable feelings surged through me in my waves. Damn it all. So he told me to pack up and go home. Is that it? I hadn't yelled at anyone. It was me talking to myself and me telling myself something. Why was I feeling this way and digging a hole all the way out here? What benefit would digging this hole give me? What harm would it be not digging this hole at all? What, in the first place, who ordered me to dig? When I thought it over, maybe it was just grade school, or even before that, my whole life had only been me doing what other people told me to. I didn't mean it was somehow constrained living a life just based on the commands of others, and I didn't mean I was too lazy to try and find my own road in life. Metaphorically speaking, yes, it was like a road. I never been particularly physical fit. I didn't hit puberty very early, and if all my classes and I got online, I used to be on the shorter end. My scores at jump rope competitions and marathons were the very picture of average. I knew as I like the captains of the dodgeball teams would have a passionate rock, paper, scissors contest to see which would get me. Teams would. Wait, no, it wasn't like, okay, never mind, anyway. During those kindergarten and grade school years, I feel like something was only worth how fast they grew and how fit they were. Looking back on it now, it was really uncomfortable for me. The thing that turned all around was just a few words from my mother. Keisha, would you like to go to a cram school? You'll get better grasp what you're learning at school and it'll be more fun. The very first test I took at cram school was kind of like a game. It was a lot of fun. It wasn't like a test with the same exact problem as the types that I wrote. Every question had a picture to it. Almost like one of those puzzle books that came with manga magazines. If I studied at school been like this, it would have been way more fun. Several days later, I went to the cram school, gave my mother, and they were on my paperwork. Mom and the person at the cram school had a really long, heated discussion, so I accidentally dozed off and missed most of what they said, but I clearly remember one point. Mom had made a loud groan, surprised at something. By 61, the mean's average score was 61 points. No, Miss Mayberry. The mean deviation of our cram schools all across the country is 61. He's trying mere numbers, even if this was just a simple intelligence examination. First, I would like to say Kichi Mayberry is extremely bright. Kichi, but he doesn't have very good grades at school. He has average marks on his reports card, but he sees D's. Is this kind of a mistake? We give the Kraepelin test as well, and he learns some very interesting things as a result. American is extremely weak when faced with questions that don't have any meaning. He just doesn't know interest in simple, dull questions that don't have anything, that don't have to do with everyday life. So even if he doesn't know what 2 plus 3 is, if he told him how he had 2 apples and he got 3 more, he would understand that sort of question. That's right. For example, instead of telling him to draw a flattened foldable cube, well, if we asked him what a die would look like, would cut open. If he did that, he can answer beautifully. And then a person from the cram school showed her a page from one of the exams I took. Oh, it was a paper with a question about construction. Construction questions were unusual, so they were really cool, weren't they? And this question, it asked to draw an unfolded irregular icosahedron, a shape with 20 faces. When we rephrased it, it asked him how he would cut out a piece of cardboard to create a 20-sided die. Kichi couldn't do the answer as though it were easy. This is not something that a child can do. Kichi, have you ever made a die with 20 sides of magazine extra or anything? Dice only went from 1 to 6. I never even considered before this test that there were die on 1 of 6 sides. So it was funny to imagine what kind of shape a die that went up to 20 sides would have. If I had a die like that, I could win at dice games against anyone, so I merely wanted to make it. Finally, I entered cram school. There were only 4 students in the class they put me in, which was called Select. It was the highest class, and some of my classmates were in lower classes. And I remember how much better they had done at things like dodgeball and the 50-meter sprint. I felt happiness well up within me for the first time. Even if I wasn't good at them physically, I triumphed over them in other ways. It was fun at first. The more I did, the more I got was praised by teachers at school. Suddenly started pampering me, and it felt good. My parents were satisfied too, and I enjoyed seeing them satisfied. The more I listened to my parents' commands, the more fun things got. Yeah, that happened, didn't it? I go entirely in self-destruction, or whatever that word was, because of my studious lifestyle didn't end up lasting very long. It was only at the beginning I enjoyed learning more and more. I gradually got along less with my friends. My classes were behind what I was learning in cram school, and I eventually stopped respecting the teachers, given that they could put me to sleep within their lectures. And I was a disagreeable sort who bragged a lot about how much I knew, and the ways of the world wouldn't let me remain in that state of ecstasy forever. I would do as I was told, and I'd go above and beyond their expectations, and then they praised me. I was happy for that, and the cycle repeated itself like the wheels on the bike. I thought moving forward like that was how life worked, like a bicycle. When I moved to him myself, I realized just how inadequate it was. Some things happened, and we started saying how moving again to change the atmosphere would be nice. And then my father, he had a place that he liked that he had gone to a few times to draw the nature. He started saying that he went to his atelier there. With me and Blake and Mason, they decided to move to Hina, Mizawa. And after that, I met them, didn't I? The first day after transferring here, I went to the closet with the teacher. I thought it would be so pitiful for her to bring me in there, so I placed my hand on the door before she could. Suddenly it opened and set foot into the room. Clatter. The thrilling, powerful way I opened the door was none other than my own determination to try to do something my life over again. And then the second I sat, determination took a hard counter to their face. A blackboard eraser fell on me, plus there was a huge rock inside it. It was a simply painful job someone set up. Okamatsu Toko was already beating me right from the first day I transferred. That frightened me. I was bewildered. The class was surprised too. I wasn't just surprised that the students in the class were all different grades and different genders. It was because everyone felt completely different from the schools I knew. And as I spent more time with them, my surprise continued to grow. It was fresh as a surprise I know that my life even to this day. Every day was a fresh new surprise. I never had a single boring day since coming here. The days were lively, spent with the other club members. We played our old myth cards with scratches on the back to cheat. We let our passions go wild during our games. We met all the regular participants at tournaments at the toy store in town, many, many more things. Oh, so we are reliving different things. It's just not showing them each time we get a new Higurashi game. Okay, then, whatever. Okay, wow. Recently, during those times where there was a bento competition, and it was slaying. That's when I unexpectedly decided to Satoko. Thinking back on it, I only ate dinner with the 2 nights. It was such a sweet, gentle time spent, and it warmed my heart remembering it even now. I realized that Satoko was pretending to be stubborn and firm, and how brave she was, but her heart always waiting for her Nini to come home. And I vowed to become her Nini. Satoko may have been nagging overly critical, but she knew how to take care of someone. But the thought, it might just seem like she was taking a lead. It was actually her way of depending upon another person. And when Satoshi Satoko's lives as siblings were confined by their uncle and his wife, and there were still warm, sunny days. When those sunny days all go wrong, what mistake was made? The empty treasures of the past would do no good, and I told myself that so many times, but I did it anyway. Kichi, is it that way you chose your own path to take back that life? Nobody ordered you to do this. You decided on your own. You don't desire anybody's praise for this. You thought it was all through yourself. You carve it out yourself. And you'll do it now. This wasn't a path I could see very far down. Not like the real parents of society could offer. It was a narrow path, dark and utterly distressing, one for which the next step would always be shrouded in darkness. But that disheartening path would keep on going forever. It was an unlimited path, and there was nowhere I couldn't travel. The kind of path only available to those that are able to imagine where they wanted to go. Don't be ashamed of breaking from the brightly lit paved road. In fact, feel proud that you found your very own path to walk. And I hadn't discarded the paved road either. Once I achieved my goal, I would go back to that bright road, and then I would spend those average sunny days at my leisure. Crushed when I realized that the hole had grown so deep I couldn't believe it. Did I dig all this myself? I think digging this much is enough, right? I put my shovel into the bottom of the hole. I would drag the body here, throw it into the hole, and cover it up with dirt. And if it took me time to camouflage it by putting plants on top, it would all go much more easily than digging this hole had. I glanced at my watch. It was almost evening, and I hadn't realized it. I mean, I felt the same time passing. The digging a hole this thing must have taken quite a lot of time. I took a sweat on a slanted rock nearby and wiped the sweat over my brow. Now, once it got a little darker, I'd go get that metal bat I hid in the schoolyard, and I'd make the call to lure him out, and then I'd do it. And the number of things I needed to do that reached the moment were dwindling. I felt that moment closing in on me much more keenly than I did the passage of time. I didn't have any hesitation, but I still felt that contradiction. At every step of that process, I had a few chances to hesitate, to turn back, to let myself lose my nerve. Having to endure those million temptations to wait for me when the time was right was indescribably slow and painful torture. I had thought myself acting around weak because of that, but I had stopped midway through. This was okay. It was fine. I could detest that normal act of homicidus, which is at one end, it didn't matter. Or was it going to be a cutthroat killer after today? I would pass the strange day and go back to the world I was in before. If I fell to the level of a psychopath who thought nothing would kill him, I wouldn't be able to go back to me alive. So this was fine with me. I didn't have to feel ashamed of hesitating to kill, because I was human. It was so funny to me that I'd be the bearer of the illusion of someone's curse. At the same time, I was aware I was human. I exhaled lightly and stood. I concealed my presence and sharpened my senses in all directions to search for anyone around me but me. Okay, let's go. One step at a time. I will walk my own path. A path no one had forced me to walk. Let's do this, Kichi, bearer. They could clasp me in an annoying fuss. Their cords covered up the suspicious doors that would be breaking twigs underfoot, and their cords filled the path far ahead of me, letting me know I would be alone for some time. The cicadas was the path I walked, encouraging me with every last ounce of strength they had. The sky was far above. Not even an hour, the veiled night would draw near, and the sky would be tinted with dusk. By that time, the Higurashi would let me hear their chorus in place of the cicadas. When that happened, would everything be over with? Would everything have ended? I said something along those lines, and I left it to go straight up to a public agency. But this time was different. I would do it. I would carry it out. I would end it. It would all be over very soon. Everything would end. Yes, when the Higurashi cried. Okay, nothing's happening. I think, is it supposed to be fading? Okay, well, I don't know. So instead of minutes, but there was a few minute break from me earlier. Yeah, Chuck, I might drink quick. Oh, man. Good. Okay. There's nobody at school. I couldn't hear the playful voices of children. This was the first time I had seen the school with such a lack of human presence. Still, I quieted my breath and looked around, not wanting to be unprepared. I got darker outside, but it was almost like my eyes could see more clearly now. I'm absolutely sure of my safety then walked to the heavy construction machine that hid in the metal bat behind. I had a tinge of worry or premonition that someone had found the bat and hidden it somewhere else as a prank. That happened when I take that as an opportunity to desist. If it really isn't there, then since it's child metal, it was still here where I left it. It hadn't run away. Satoshi hadn't run away. He waited here patiently for me. Sorry for the wait, Satoshi. It's been a long time coming. You prepared for this? Feeling the metallic touch, Satoshi grins at me in my mind. That's what I should be asking, you know. I did this last year already. You should be more worried about yourself. Right on, Satoshi. Let's show him a bad time. Satoshi's back got lighter and lighter and fading into my hands like it was being absorbed. It didn't feel wrong to swing this. I couldn't move it around so naturally. It was like an egg stitch in my own right arm. Of course, it felt like that. Satoshi and I were holding my back together. Next, I would make the call to lure the man out. It was at a bad time for it. My friends were doubtlessly parading happily through the stalls. I hadn't considered where to make the call from. My house and circles are pretty far apart. If I called from my house, I wouldn't make it. I couldn't use the school phone. Could I use the school phone? But as I thought that room was locked up and I couldn't get in. Shit, I'm so naive. You should have at least figured this part out. I couldn't call him. And just for that, was today all over? I'm sorry, Satoshi. It's just as I cursed my own naive a miracle occurred. A bicycle came into the schoolyard. It was a familiar middle-aged man, the one from the Forest Service field office. Why, was it today Sunday? Was he here to pick something up he forgot? Anyway, the force of time went around back. It felt around his pocket and unlocked the door. He entered. The best possible coincidence, and it had to be Satoshi saying to me. The metal bat through my to just make contact with it told me this was a chance I couldn't allow to slip by. The sections for the forest office and the school were neatly separated. I felt I man head into the forest office's storehouse, which was far, and the back students weren't allowed in it. The door didn't match just fitting well, so it didn't close all the way, and a gap in the door opened slowly as if to lure me in. I took a deep breath and went in. I tiptoed along silently and stealthily and made it into the teacher's lounge. That was the only place with the phone. As I held my breath in the teacher's lounge, I heard the Forest Service officer walking back over. Then the back door cluttered shut and it was locked. I glanced at the window at the schoolyard and watched him hand a guy in his back like nothing had happened and rode out to the school gate. The school was getting empty, becoming deathly silent. I waited for a bit to make sure the silence was real deal and then reached for the telephone on the principal's desk. I fished Tico's house number out of my pocket. Yes, a number in the class of directory for Satoko had been the one from their house now, where she lived with her uncle. I touched the dial with my fingers and then thought for a moment about what to say exactly when he picked up. Despite how many times I'd gone over it in my head last night, now that I have my finger on a dial like this, it started to seep out of my mouth like a cracked bucket leaking water. Sip it would be best, and more importantly say it to straight and not sound suspicious. I counted off 3 heartbeats and spun the dial. Call sound, which Satoko's uncle picked up. And of all times, I hoped that he wouldn't pick up in front of the doom and knowledge that I couldn't save Satoko if he didn't. Whirled around the vortex. Hello? It's the voice of a grumpy man like he had just woken up. He picked up. Hello? Say your name so I know you're Hojo, you asshole. It would be terrible if I got it wrong. I made up my mind. I had all the initiative on my side. Here we go. Is this a Shishibone? Okay. This is a This is a whatever, Okinomiya police station. Am I speaking to the Hojo residents? I was changing my voice, but did he really think I sounded like an adult? Would he believe I was the police? Oh, yes, this is Hojo. We currently have your daughter, Satoko Hojo, here with us. What? Satoko? What did that brat do? He fell for it. You could tell by how tense he was that he didn't doubt my words. Okay, explain the particulars once you arrived here. Would you mind coming to the station right away? Right now, I already took a bath myself, so I don't really want to go out like this, though. What? You don't want to come because you already took a bath? Yes, right away. Right away? Jeez, man, what the heck does Satoko do? I'll explain once you're here. I will be waiting. Thank you for your assistance. 1 second. I don't know where the police station is. Where am I going? You moron, what the hell? The Okinawa police station? I don't know where it is either. Aren't you from around here? Why don't you know that? A greasy sweat came over my body. Eventually just stood up the choke he spoke. Oh, next to the first station, right? That's pretty far. Thank goodness he remembered on his own for me. I didn't care where the police station was. So as long as he left his house to get there, then we will be waiting here. Oh, wait, who am I asking for once I get there? What is your first name? On top of that, you want to know my name? Just leave your goddamn house already. Maybe she, excuse me. That was close. Maybashi. I must have listened to my real name. I meant to change the last syllable of it, but I put the receiver down like I was running away. My fingers were trembling. I was soaked with a tepid sweat. I was just nervous about the phone call. With that call, everything had finally been put into motion. I left the school. It was locked before, but it was easy enough to open it from the inside. But I couldn't lock it again after I left. In terms of being thorough, I wanted to lock it, but I couldn't waste time to go back to the teacher's lounge and looking for the key. I needed to rush back as soon as I could and ambush him. I was using it to the scene on my bike. If Satoko's uncle got out of town before I got there, then it would be over. I learned there was someone at the police station named Maybashi, and things would get pretty messed up. As I turned in full speed, I passed a family wearing yukatas. They must have been on their way to the festival. Many people in Himizawa knew my face, so I didn't know theirs. Even just passing by like them, this made me uneasy, but I didn't generally come around here, so those living in the area might not know much about me. That didn't matter right now. I needed to get back as fast as possible to control my breathing and ambush the man. I ran back in the thicket and picked up Satoshi's bat, which I just left in the shade, and then I held my breath waiting to see someone. I wondered if he still hadn't gotten here, or maybe he went right out after the phone got passed by here already. I couldn't figure out which it was, except upon an indescribable impatience. Calm down, Kishime Bearer. Even if he came here already, he passed by here on the way back, right? The end result would be the same. It wouldn't change the fact that he died. He'd probably come on his motorcycle, and then how would I stop him? I figured it would be best not to think too long, just to hit him as he passed or beat out of his seat. The path was made of pebbles, and if I hit him as hard as I could and he made him lose balance, he wouldn't be able to help falling. And then the course of the Higurashi stopped. The sound of the back approach was far away. I could tell which sort of motorcycle it was from the sound, but I had seen it in the park before, so I know. It was getting rapidly closer. It was almost here. If he just went a little farther, he'd cross into that thicket and appear in front of me. It'd take a moment to make sure it was in. Then when I put my plan into action. Oh, please let this do it. We okay? Motorcycle appeared. Few easily identifiable characters told me it was Satoko's uncle's back without doubt. Was it really him? Was it really Satoko's uncle? I wasn't making a mistake, was I? I looked at the characteristics again. It was color, shape, and most of all, that man's clothes and face. Those last feelings of hesitation and did away with them. Satoko, now your Nini will end it, okay? Closer, the bike came closer. Let's go. Satoshi, yeah. Whoosh, I jumped out of the thicket. I used my shoulder to basically tackle the uncle on the back with all my might. Oh, he gave me a dumb shot as his bike completely lost its balance. Finally, it fell. The bike scattered in clouds of sand, and after spinning, it stopped. Her uncle tossed to the ground, didn't understand what just happened, and groaned for a few moments, crushed on the ground. Ha ha ha! My breathing started to become ragged. No, I couldn't have this emotion. Some weird secretion crossed through my brain and nearly made me hallucinate. Her uncle was groaning. Now was the time. Not time to what was I doing? All the sounds in the world cut off. A mental chaos from a moment ago withdrew like a lie, and I could feel the temperature in my head rapidly cooling down. The tension in my muscles all went away like the strings that had been attached to it had been cut, and I let my hands dangle at the sides. It was quite like exhaustion. Have you calmed down now, Kishimebara? Do you even remember again why things got to this point today? It's great. I stepped over the pebble path, taking one step, another step, then towards Satoko's uncle. The more I walked, the more breathing calmed. The more I walked, the more I felt my body cooling, calm and chill with frost. Yes, this guy had lost permission to live. I just rescinded it, so he mustn't stay in this world any longer. If he lived any longer, if Satoko's misfortune continued, he would be my responsibility for having him allowed to live. I could feel the cooling substance going through my whole body, even down to my capillaries. Her uncle was at my feet, now still on the ground like an idiot. I smiled coldly at how ridiculously looked. That hurt, cough. That's all it took for it to hurt. Satoko's heart hurt much more, and now you're going to feel that. And with your life, I'll make up for her pain. I erased all necessary information from my mind. I prioritized the murder of this man. Execute. Wham! Utterly calmly, I delivered my first strike to the back of his head. I wanted to get out of that most effective spot, at least during that first moment. I'd have to attack him while he was at his most defenseless. And if he was hit in the head, he'd cover his head. It was a defensive reaction on all humans made like machines. He used both hands to cover his head so he couldn't pick himself up off the heap he was in on the ground. Like pounding a caterpillar into dirt, I hit him over and over. If he covered his head, I'd hit him in the side. If he covered his body, I'd go for his head. If he rolled over, I struck his feet, his knees, his elbows. I didn't care where anymore. By just delivering one blow after another, I induced panic in him. I retained my overwhelming advantage, but I hadn't done nearly enough to deliver a fatal wound. Her uncle skillfully pulled himself off the ground and started to run like a fleeing rabbit. It was a judgment he made after seeing my face and deciding whether to fight me. Right now he was fleeing my instinct, just trying to escape from the threat he had presented himself. Counterattack with a more physical capable uncle was what I was concerned about. He may have run, but it wasn't all that unlucky, and the odds were in my favor. The uncle didn't run away towards people, but off the path to the woods. How pleasant that he would run to a direction when nobody else was. He was fleeing to a strange geography like a rat that instantly runs in tight spots over and over. Yes, he was no longer human, he was a rat. The blood vessels in my legs expanded and my total oxygen supply increased. I learned myself to gain the most explosive velocity I could. Without breathing, I became like a wind, like a shadow and dashed. I crossed thickets, crushed dead tree branches out of my foot, and dove the woods like a bullet. He ran so cowardly and arms falling as he went. After I catch up to him, I didn't need so much as a blink of an eye to strike him again. My senses, mind, and body were all sharp and purely to kill this man. And this was the first time I felt like this. Well, this is the first experience I've ever had killing someone. It felt natural continuing to do this for the first time, and that meant I had this much talent for killing, or perhaps that killing was so simple that anyone could do it. I didn't struggle or grow tired at all chasing him clumsily feeling uncle. No matter how much he ran, he was like trying to get away from his own shadow, and he couldn't get away from me. I could easily aim at his back, his shoulders, and his head even from this unnatural stance. Each time I struck him, he wailed in pain and begged pitifully for forgiveness, but this stirred my pain. I was neither excited nor plagued by hesitation like before. I felt sharp like a carnivore. Of course, so did the uncle, who was trying to run away because he didn't want to die. He didn't want to be eaten like a herbivore, fighting with all his might, trying to get away. Despite all the attacks, despite all the hits, he kept on fleeing without even staggering. And despite the bad footing in the forest, he impressively never tripped over anything. But there's no need to admire that fact. It was simply proof that he was no more than an animal. If he was chased, he would run. If he was going to be killed, he would run. He bared. Hiccups there, guys. He bared his fangs the weak, but couldn't pose as strong whatsoever. He was lowly, vulgar, a diminutive animal. Such a puny little creature had harmed Satoko. Scare after scare to her body and mind, deep wounds that might not ever go away as long as she lived. Well, I called in common much as I turned into a bestial once. One person really changed to something specialized for murder, purely to devour the diminutive animal before me. Yeah, Uncle gave a puny little shriek, covered his head, and ran. I'm impressed by how, but I skipped it by accident. Sorry, I'm fine, run as much as you like. I will be your death. I will choose a moment at my leisure. Your legs will hurt, your lungs will fill by the burst, your head will hurt from lack of oxygen. If you feel the pain has become worse than death, then by all means stop any time. Without turning back, suffocating on his terror of the approach of death, he just ran swiftly onward. He ran, but he was chasing his head, bashing with the metal bat, sweat and drool flying everywhere, blood clinging to him. From his mouth came the sounds of coarse, irregular breathing, high-pitched screaming that verged on crying, and pleas for forgiveness to someone I didn't know who. Each and every second was a sign of atonement that I granted him. Now run, then fall and moan and die. Where did you even crawl out of anyway? You never were here before. If you were never here, you never should have showed up. If you never showed up, our lives would still be fun and enjoyable. We'd have gone back to Taste Festival and waited for each other and gone to the shrine laughing. We would have been playing amongst the stalls right about now. We'd be browsing the strange food stalls you only saw at festivals, trying to get prizes from goldfish, scooping, ring throwing, or target practice. Meow would surely make it to the competition. We as a club would have a grand time. And everyone who would have been cheering for Ricochet's education dance, anyone would have seen how fun it was, and it would give us energy for days to come. Fun, enjoyable, and funny, and warm time spent with friends. And that would have happened, but it didn't, and now it was all smashed to pieces. There was no doubt that would be the world was like if you never showed up. You were the obstacle, the mistake, the heresy in that world, but I would have corrected that mistake now. I would erase you and make it so that last week never happened. The night was the Tatarigoroshi festival. The only now we're just taking one life was permitted in the name of Ryo's someone's curse. It looked like Higurashi stopped crying at some point. When the Higurashi cried, everything would end. And the Higurashi silenced. Lowly, when the hour of atonement is at an end, the Higurashi stopped their crying, thus it is the end. The end. You don't have to run away anymore. Die with those dirty brains of yours smashed everywhere. Grow. Lightning and thunder struck like an explosion. It was so loud it shook the ground and it smelled like gunpowder. The response I got this time was clearly different from the one before. The metal bat crushed into the crown of his head. It was like the top of his head caved in and the bat felt like it was biting him. Why would he smell gunpowder, though? Did someone come and rescue him? I don't know. It had been the final killing attack that visited him. When I didn't overlook the opening, he left his knees and gave out under him. I remained alert for a few moments, and thud, I planted both knees in the ground and then fell towards burying my head in the ground. Ha 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 ha. Ha 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 ha. I've been holding back my ragged breathing, but now it all came out of me like a dam bursting. My head was dizzy and light and unable to maintain my balance. I leaned against a nearby tree. My uncle didn't try and guard his head any longer. After a disgusting sort of spasm, he stopped moving. Did I get him? Did I get him for sure? I fought back my exhausted urge to fall over where I stood and drew towards him carefully, but still there ready. It was possible he was faking it and trying to wait it out. Should I check for a pulse? I realized right away how unnecessary it would be. If I thought he might be faking it, I would just have to keep pummeling him until I was satisfied. I fought back my ragged breath again, and I swung back my bat far above and brought it down. Clonk. His body leaped like a bow, but he didn't try and cover his head. And then once again the end for his head swung. His reaction was the same this time. After spending a few moments making his head into mochi, the hits gradually started to feel different. It started to spray a filthy dark red liquid everywhere. That was enough. It was different now. I had absolutely killed him. There was no sense of accomplishment, nor one of regret. I didn't feel anger towards Satoko's uncle, nor pity towards Satoko's uncle herself. Instead, right now, I felt like I was feeling like my heart had been stolen by the downpour. It had begun to rain at some point. How uncomfortable it felt. The rain water drenched out my body and dripped down to the ground. As the excitement of me faded and the rain washed away the grime. I almost changed my shoes were so wet they made splashing sounds. And despite being a easy touchy spot like that, it wasn't bait very much. There were a few dents in it, probably from hitting the man, but nothing more than making it seem different from before. It said it was been stained with black, it was red with mud and blood. But that itself would be evidence. The one piece of evidence needed to prove that Matsuru's had been his daydreams and that Ian's Tuko's uncle for all eternity. Alright, Kishi, calm your mind. The time for passion is over. Now is the time to be as cold as ice. I need to bury the body, but where was I? I simply followed the man as far as he ran into the darkness. I could take a guess how far he could run. It was already pitch black around us, and the only light I had were very faint lights on the road a little further down. It was so dark out. I had noticed darkness until just now. My vision was so good, I could see that man's ugly hairline. I could count the pores in his head. It was only now that I realized how much crazy shit I had mustered at that moment. I went over to the street light and looked up and down the road, desperately trying to figure out where I was. This is the one road connecting New Soho to the town. We were unbelievably far away from Soko's house. The two of us really run so far a distance. I was surprised that I was accompanied by knowledge of their miraculous fact that despite running so far and making so much noise, I did not come across anybody at all. There was a long way between here and the ambush location where I dug the hole. There's no way I could carry the body that far. Wait, aside from that, the back that man took you was still lying in the middle of the path. That would be an issue. The police could tell us the motorcycle was by looking at the license plate, and they would just leave it at that. Thankfully, the course was in a dark forest, and there was of urgency dealing with the bike would come first, and I wanted to get the shovel back with my left next to the hole. I shouldn't drag the body there. I ought to deal with it right here. Fortunately, the ground was like mud from the downpour and more sludgy here than where I was before. I might be able to dig a grave quickly here. Of course, my bicycle was still where I left it too. It still wasn't over. Almost I'd only been half of my goal. The other half would be just as important as the first. I would completely hide the body not allowing it the beginning to happen. I erased that man like he never existed and began peaceful times we had before. I bent my head towards the calm the mind even further. The big water droplet stuck in my brow mercilessly. They were actually quite after one for a while. I let my desire have its way. After confirming that I was sharp again, I started running through the rain. The motorcycle was at the grass at the roadside. Considering how it looked, pelted with the rain, covered in mud, it actually seemed like it had been lying there for a very long time. The plan was to drive the motorcycle to the swamp. The swamp was a bit of a walk from here. No, I looked at the bike. I didn't think it would be so heavy. I was a little surprised. Once I had it upright, it was fairly easy to roll it along. Still pushing this all on the way to the swamp was not really what I wanted to do. I could no longer ignore my exhaustion, and it warned me numerous times of how far away the swamp was. This motorcycle, I wonder if I could ride it well enough. And once I got it going, it would basically be the same as a bicycle. Wouldn't it get me to the swamp quickly? Plans suggested my exhaustion and anxiety at getting on the motorcycle for the first time withdrew. I turned again, you just kicked this pedal, right? Yeah. It's on, and then I could handlebars to the first and then left. Wow, maybe I twisted them too much and the bike lurched and did a wheelie like an angry horse. I lost it for a second, but it was just a problem of how much torque to apply. Let's try that again, this time slowly, gently. That time it went well. It was strange to be on a two-wheel vehicle that would go even if I didn't pedal. Very odd, but I got used to it quickly. Mia once told me you could get a scooter license within a day, and she was clearly right. This was pretty easy. I needed to throw the metal bat into the swamp too, but I didn't know how to pack the bat into the motorcycle. Without much other choice, I stuffed into the back of my shirt, feeling like a ninja carrying a katana. I put the tip down under the seat of my pants and hunched over it wouldn't fall out. I got back on the back at this time, going without any difficulty. I carefully pressed the button-enabled light, and the rather strong light came on, illuminating the way forward. I probably really should have turned it on, but I didn't have any way of seeing at this point, and I had zero confidence I could ride through this darkness. As the rain came down on me, I made a precarious balance and inched my way towards the swamp. Along the way, I ran a few cultural people who seemed to be returning from the festival, but none of them had any interest in me. They were either all soaked through the rain, hurrying on their way home, or had an umbrella low and their heads down. Next time I might have had been wary of these passerby, but right now I didn't seem to have much cause for concern. In fact, it'd probably be less suspicious to be riding down the open like this instead of sneaking around. More and more, though, I started to think of that idea as a naive problem by my exhausted state. I climbed up a steep hill. On that bike, I would just put me out of breath. I just had a accelerate a little bit after I climbed the entire thing. The motorcycle sure convenient. For a moment, its lights illuminated as a sign before I passed by it. Our Nagafuchi swamp, because good children did not play around here. Still, it was elected with this swamp was cordoned off by a metal fence or anything. Parents teachers would get mad at you if they found out you were playing in the swamp, but some of the bad kids in the class apparently snuck out here sometimes to see the giant crayfish in the place. They talk about how they go to the candy shop and buy some pickled squid and just take it to the fishing line, throw it, and all the crayfish would come running. Once I got up to the bank, there was a tiny ritual shrine, traditional ropes on one of the trees. And as I swallowed the downpour hole, the blackest swamp had waited for me. When I suddenly accelerated for the cliff, I got stopped, and now the name was life strange in the middle of the swamp. I had to be careful not to fall with it. If I had drowned and disappeared, the man with the stupid ghost story that would be on another Tatarigoroshi, the ghost uncle course was found in the thicket by the ruins of the town, and Kichime Bear went missing. People would whisper that I had been demoned away. The 50th curse would be a half-baked one. I got the back into the accelerator as hard as I could. I let go just so it seemed like it would jack me forward. The bike shot off the cliff and was swallowed down to the swamp, leaving a far fainter splash than I had imagined. The surface was being pummeled down by the downpour, and the muddy, filthy water was flowing into it. I couldn't even make out the motorbike I just thrown in there. It's pretty heavy after all. It would be quickly engulfed by the salt and mud at the bottom of the swamp, and it would be pulled deeper and deeper until it reached hell itself. I feel no reluctance whatsoever in throwing that wooden boat back down to the land of the demons, but I have a tinge of regret when I did it with Satoshi's bat. The muddy water washed it off to the gore, sticking to it, and it sunk easily. I sort of shared today's events with Satoshi, so I wanted to give it a quiet place to stay. That's how I felt. I started feeling more like returning to the locker from before, so I continued to keep watch over Satoko. But Satoshi, I probably, misunderstood you. Satoshi listened quietly without nodding. I am absolutely convinced now you were the one who beat your hand to death last year in Satoko. I always scorned you and called you a coward who ran away, but I was wrong. To the rest of the world, some deviant was behind the incident, but I know it's something you did for her, and then you disappeared. You finally got back that peace and lost it within days. So I swear to you that I will live life to the fullest from now on, live enough for the both of us. I will live on as though this day never happened, but I will never forget the short time we shared together for as long as I lived. I didn't know what expression Satoshi made as he listened, but as someone who had protected the same girl, I felt he smiled and gave me his blessing. And then my hand moved of its own accord. In the bat, I had hesitated to throw away, lifted my hands, and flew through the air. It shoveled its parabolic path, spinning all the while, and the swamp absorbed it without a sound. There wasn't any ripples when it hit the surface. The surface was tempestuous because of the downpour, and the bat was long gone. For a moment, I regretted throwing it, but I realized that might have been what Satoshi had wanted. You're right. I still can't let myself get into the emotion just yet. I return from my shovel and get on my bike, dig a hole to hide the body and bury it. It seemed like a simple sequence of events, but I felt extremely exhausted and hard to do it tonight. Satoshi left me with the only advice I needed to finish this up soon, and then fell silent for eternity and disappeared at the bottom of the demon's abyss. I returned to the path I had pushed her uncle on. My bike was hidden and sleeping in the brush. I stood it back up. My whole body felt heavy, but I needed to finish by the end of the day, even if I had to whip myself to do it. Oh, I'd forgotten something. I didn't just come here for my bike. The shovel was here too. Not good. I was zoning out. Every once in a while, I felt my guard down. My vision would go almost black. I pull yourself together, Kichime Bear. It's still not over. I went into the grove of the trees and... Hold on, guys. Sorry about that. I went to the grove of the trees and looked for the hole in which I had hidden the shovel. Of course, I had it hidden deep in the forest and not wanted it to be seen, and everything was black in the night, and I couldn't see anything anymore. I rewoke my fading consciousness and realized just how big the noise really was, but you can't be serious. Sweat and the rain washed away before it came back up to my skin. Deep in the forest was street lights I could never reach. The fact that it would be so pitch black had been completely uncalculated. With that much darkness, even if I'd been able to kill him right away like I planned, I didn't know if I could still have a bird without a problem. What should I do? I simply couldn't find the shovel tonight. If I forced myself to go deep in the forest, I'd lose even my sense of direction. I might actually get lost in there. That might be an exaggeration, but it was fully possible I'd trip over a tree root and sprain a muscle. Alright, my house storage room, there was another shovel there, the same fold-up kind. Couldn't I go back to the house, get the shovel, and give up the finding the shovel tonight? And it's not as though the same name of bear is written on the shovel, but it seemed like an unusual item from an important variety store made in another country, so I didn't want to leave that shovel here, but in the darkness I couldn't do anything. I should give up and go back to the storage room, and there was an electric lantern in there. If I used that for light, I could look for it, but it was just so extremely dark. I liked it there. I liked the way it was just a lantern. I liked a lantern in this dark night. I couldn't discard the possibility of it drawing eyes, and I doubted if I could find a silhouette with the lantern's feeble light. Besides, I left the body there for a pretty long time already. My sense of fear dulled through excessive exhaustion, finally reared its ugly head. Anyway, for now, the most important thing was to hide the body. A shovel being found wouldn't be a big deal, but a corpse? If they found that, I shared the same fate as Satoshi. First, I'd go back to the storage room at home, and then I would get the lantern. Now that it's in this dark mess, I need the light to dig a hole for the body too. And I get the other shovel, and then I deal with the body first thing. Once that was done, I come back here and find the shovel and bring it back. I'd do at least that much, but I was so tired. But complaining was getting me nowhere. If I started to get complicated now, everything would have been for naught. At some point, I sat down. I gritted my teeth in dirt and looked at my heavy hips. The night was young. Of all nights I experienced, none had ever been this long. But well, at all had. The night was young. Okay, guys. I'm probably going to end it here if this is in the chapter. Man, my source throat, my head's killing me. But this was a pretty good chapter in this game so far. Very interesting. What's not over? No, I want to keep going, so I'm going to take a break for a few minutes, guys. Okay, let's try this again. I don't want to quit halfway through a chapter. I have to do it as a whole chapter every time, man. Just how I gotta do it, man. The lights at home were dazzling bright. Suddenly they reminded me of how hungry I was. I took the clock. I saw that it was almost 7. I thought for sure it was 2 or 3 in the morning already. I was surprised at how messed up my biological clock I'd gotten just from this one night. There's a warm light coming from the curtains in the living room window. The worlds between here and what was behind those curtains were so different. If only that man had shown up, I would have been in that light. I'd still be excited for the festival, and I'd been talking to my parents about how much fun I had with all my friends. And even then, though they made a hot meal for me, I would have eaten way too much at the stalls, barely eaten any of it, and gone back to my room. Now that I crawled into my futon and easily let myself fall asleep, but right now it's completely different. I was a single ember of warmth from those weak street lights. Right now I was unconnected to any time spent with my family, and there was neither warm food nor the time to allow myself to sleep. My body exposed to the cold, where I knew that I simply had to throw myself unto accomplish what I must. I realized how tame and how cowardly I was becoming. For what reason did I need to kill someone, even if it felt this terrible? I lost sight of my purpose. I selected the fastest and most fundamental way of saving Satoko and executed it without hesitation. That man was dead. He was gone. He would never ever hurt Satoko again. We all thought frantically for days on about Satoko's problem. We finally, with no options, we gave up, and I solved it all in one night, by myself without anyone's help. Right about now, Satoko would be making dinner for her uncle, despite not knowing when he'd return. And she might be spending the night of troubling fear of whether he'd let her for now or how it tasted. But her uncle wouldn't come home. She wouldn't have to fear his wrath nor let him make her feel sad. I see. I did it. I successfully saved Satoko. All I've been thinking about for a long time was killing that man, and I forgotten the feeling that was actually all to save her. I did it. I did something good. That's right. I did something good that night. I felt hot tears coming from my eyes, and that's when I first realized the exhaustion I'd been given. I'd been feeling was actually guilt. The blade of guilt for a while now had just been scraping with its tip, hurting my heart. It hurt so badly I couldn't stand it. It was throbbing painfully. It hurt so much it was so painful that I cried. I cried tears of joy at saving Satoko. I didn't know why really more. I just cried. My tears fell and fell. As I stood there for a while, coming to terms with those warm tears, my heart was comforted little. Alright, could you can bear this enough? There's nothing to regret or feel ashamed about. But my body and mind were thoroughly exhausted, and that's what it was a fact. I was only natural. I couldn't feel anything. Even tomorrow, the day after that, I might not be able to feel anything for a while, but there was one thing that was true. There was an indisputable fact that I had saved Satoko. One day we would be surely rewarded. One day I would be proud of the stress and enterprise to undertaken to get Satoko's smile back. And now I could wait for that day. I had to put the finishing touches on this night. If I left it undone, everything I accomplished today would be for naught. I looked up back at the sky, which then looked like it would stop raining anytime soon. Never my eyes to summon forth energy from my core again. How long did I put in space and hell? This is the time for daydreaming. Someone could find the corpse this very moment. That pessimistic thought was proof the very imminent show much of fear to return to me. As I left for the fear to spur me onwards, I went to look for the shovel and returned to the storage room. It was fortunate I remember what it looked like or in the street light near the body was near. With how dark it was quite possible that I wouldn't have been able to look for it either. I didn't realize that when I left the place so that I didn't memorize the spot even across my mind, and that's why I had to call it fortunate that I managed to get back to the body like this. The corpse was unlocated in a big muddy pile. Half the thing was already sunk into the swamp-like pool of water. I only realized afterward that there was an unused aeration channel right nearby the clog with the fallen leaves and dirt, and there was rainwater flowing from there. My shoes had been washed away for a long time now, so without hesitation, I stepped into the puddle. The whole muddy stream started flowing back luckily. I couldn't leave any slight traces like blood stains. The rain was mostly from heaven. I looked around me, paying very close attention, then turned off the lantern. It became pitch black, but my eyes got used to the darkness in a few moments, and once I managed to reach the street light on the other side, I was able to make out even in the faint lights. I took out the shovel into the puddle right next to the corpse. The ground was even looser than I thought, and the shovel's tip easily slid inside it. I had to hurry and dig. If I took too much time, I might lose my energy and strength again. It felt almost like digging a hole in the sand at the beach. It was easy to dig, but no matter what, the muddy water kept flowing in to cover the hole. The digging wasn't going as well as I hoped. I dug, and the water would go in, so I couldn't get a sense of how deep it was. The only way for me to measure it was to bury my own foot in the mud. I'm digging just fine. It's alright, don't be disheartened. Dig. Occasionally a car would come by the road and I heard her to hide myself in the trees. Everyone was only passing through. They wouldn't have their eyes peeled in this kind of darkness. I understood it logically, but I still couldn't help but hide. Was I really scared of? Was it quite that one of those cars would coincidentally happen to witness me here? It was that they said I could have stopped cars and eventually. Wait, what? What? It was that distance I could spot cars from was getting gradually shorter. At first, I noticed especially sounds from really far away as cars drove through them. I started noticing them less and less, and with that car just passed by, I didn't notice it until its headlights were upon me. I felt my senses growing duller by the second. If someone were to take a peek in secret as I was burning the body at the worst possible time, maybe I wouldn't have even noticed. The moment I thought that, I took a good look all around me. I saw all my half-asleep senses and searched for signs of presence nearby. What if I found that someone spied on me from the trees? A carbonous feeling snarled at me, glaring. If there was, would I dig another hole? I come this far already. In order to achieve perfection, I didn't care how much more I had to pay. I didn't know what kind of face I was making at the time, but it was definitely a fervent and glaring one. When I finally reached a conclusion that nobody was present, I didn't breathe a sigh of relief. How long I've been digging this mud out of here. It was deep enough for it to go up to my knees. Maybe it was just enough. Maybe I'd throw the corpse in as a test. I swallowed, getting my breath under control. Despite how much I beat him, I was afraid of touching the corpse. So instead, I dragged it by the feet to the hole. It took more than just a swallow tug to do it. But of course it did. Considering this man's weight, he was easily 80 kilograms. I relied on my strength and dragged him. Despite my groundless fears that he might suddenly start moving again had vanished long ago, his body fit perfectly into the muddy hole. It was more than deep enough. Alright, let's bury him. Quickly. If I did a perfect job burying him, everything would be over. I would hide it into the hole, and none of this would ever happen. Whenever I don't have no further to go to finish everything, I was struck with pointless anxiety like I was in a race against time. It was like I was absorbed in a delusion that if I didn't bury it quickly, it might come back to life. In any case, in a great rush, I poured mud and dirt into the hole. If I didn't work efficiently, someone might find me here. Until now, I just figured if I saw someone, I'd just kill them, but not anymore. I was arrested with such absolute fear that if someone saw me, it would be all over. As if I finished the work off, it was a total mess. Splish, splash, squish, squash. I drew the surface of the shovel across the ground, trying to make it flat. It was completely covered in mud at that point. The rain washed the mud off my body, but not my now blackened clothing. My body and mind were caked with panic, with fear, rain, and sweat and mud. My shoulders heavy. I laid on a shovel and sat down in the mud. I was so exhausted that I wanted to lie down right here and sleep. It was over this time. For real. It was over. The man was not on the bottom of wet dirt. Right in this moment, there were traces that this place had been dug up, but that rain, flowing muddy water would be completely covered, all within moments. Yes, it was over. I did it. But you motherfucker. And then I fell over backwards, face on top of the mud. Raindrops pelted my face without mercy, but I didn't care. I had stayed there for a while, resting my mind. I got up again. It was over, so let's go home. You already buried the old thing. Now it's like if it never happened. It never happened, so there's no reason for me to stay out there and it got rained on. I woke up with my feet. I wouldn't use a shovel anymore. I considered dismembling it, and I didn't have any strength and absolute exhaustion. I didn't really need to take it apart anyway. Dragging the shovel behind me, I headed towards the light. I stood up to my back and been laying in the grass by the road. I didn't know how I was going to get to still assemble this. Wait, I thought I was going to get still in the same much I went to my front basket. I put the shovel down in the back of my shirt like I did the baseball bat. Unlike the bat, the corner of it was on my back, making it very painful. Plus, if I relaxed my posture even a little, it would fall out behind me. What about the other shovel, man? I ended up having to carry the shovel in my left hand around my back using only my right hand. Not only was I in a state of total exhaustion, this was a downpour. One hand on the handlebars was swaying to the fro and like a drunk. But I didn't care. Even swaying like this, I got a little closer to home every time I pedaled. I saw two lights swaying slowly in front of me. A car was approaching. Oh no, I need to get out of the way. But far away, the shadows of darkness, a car appeared. It says a noise washed over me. The driver made a short honk of the horn that informed me I was in the middle of the road. I had to get out of his way. I kept telling myself that, but I was only riding one hand and I was exhausted, so I couldn't do anything. Wobble, wobble, wobble. I meandered about not going to left or to left. The driver decided to swerve out of the right way in front of me without lowering its speed much. Steadily comes towards me. His outline grew large in my vision, telling me myself again that I really need to get out of the way. I jerked the handle sport in one direction and lost my balance and fell over, back and all. My body splayed out and one foot got caught in the bike. This was seriously bad. My drowsiness quickly vanished and just a cold sweat broke out my skin. The driver recklessly spun the wheel to the left, made a counterclockwise U-turn, came right back up to me and stopped. The driver seated the door up and the driver came out. "You idiot, what are you doing here?" I was pretty sure someone got me like that. Oh no, look who it is. It was a woman's voice and the one I knew. I lifted my face up the ground and looked at her. It's a Takano-san. Good evening. The moon is very pretty tonight. Remember her, Kang? It was running too far ahead to see the moon. Takano-san unfolded an umbrella and smiled as she spoke. That smile was for some reason uncanny, like she seen right through me. Out of all the people I could have met, I got the sudden feeling this was the one I wanted to see the least. What are you doing out so late? And you're still covered in mud. No umbrella either. What is that? A shovel? She had come here via car. She wouldn't have known what I was just doing, and yet she smiled as though she knew everything. Calm down, Kishina Bear. She always makes a mysterious looking smile, remember? Don't let her on to anything lest you dig your own grave. You were saying you're playing baseball with the golf club. Is that what the shovel's for, too? You're using it as an umbrella? I should tell a good lie here. If I could just do that, things would work out. When I went with Raina, I had to go digging for treasure at the dam. I forgot this there. And you went to get in this downpour? When I left my house, I didn't think it would rain, so... Oh, it's been raining for a while, though. You've been out for quite some time, haven't you? Well, I guess I was kind of wandering around. Even so, you came from that direction, didn't you? The dam was in the opposite direction, you know. The Takano-san was clearly what exceedingly abnormal was happening with me, and she played her little word game. She was enjoying driving me into a corner. Maybe she had a vague guess from the situation of what I've been doing. My timing really sucked to run into her of all people at all times. At the end of the very end, I could only be frustrated by terrible luck. I learned so much, and it was literally right around the corner. So at the very end, I ran to her of all people. What did you do, Kishima Bear? You're still holding something that could be a dangerous weapon. Were you selling Takano-san? And it would be simple to kill Takano-san. Dealing with the car after it would be an issue. I couldn't drive a car. It was completely different from my motorbike. But even if the car was here, as long as there was no proof I killed her. Yes, ice downpour without any prior playing all that coincident hit and run. As long as I didn't drop any handkerchiefs with my initials on them, they would never know I killed her. A black flame quietly smoldered in the corner of my body. That's a scary look. Did I teach you too much? The grandson started to laugh by herself, then thankfully stopped talking about it. But the darkness caused my mind didn't go away. Leaving that aside, how long are you planning on crawling on your ground with your bike like that? Would you mind moving out the way? If I moved, she would leave. So I tried to keep the motorcycle up and out of the way, but then twisted my ankle in it and fell over. Ow, shit, There was a sharp pain in my ankle. I twisted. This is nonsense. I sprained ankle now. Oh my, are you alright? Do you twist your ankle? The grandson squats down, takes a good look at the ankle, and I keep rubbing it. I keep rubbing. She compares it to my facial expression, apparently trying to gauge how bad the wound was. Can you stand? I didn't expect to, but I couldn't even stand up. It was all I could do, shamelessly wiggle on the ground like a caterpillar. Dakota-san looked at her watch in another car, and after thinking for a moment, opened the passenger seat door. And that gave me her shoulder to stand up with. I'll take you home. I do feel bad since it almost looked like I hit you. Look, I'm sorry. I wouldn't just leave you there. It felt a good thing. I'm a nice person. He. Nobody good ever called themselves a nice person, but that would be a terrible thing to say to someone who's holding me up like this. I took Takano-san and Takano's hand and sat down in the passenger seat. Takano-san went around the back and looked at my back on the ground. I don't suppose we could take the bicycle home tomorrow. I could clearly tell from her face that she thought it would be a pain, since it would be heavy and it would get her car dirty. My back has a name and bearer written on it. I couldn't leave it out here like this. Well, can you somehow put it in the car? Sorry if I need it. The trunk is already full. If I put it in the back seat, I'll get the seats dirty with mud. Well, okay, well, now you're already in here. It's already dirty, I suppose. I turned back to the back seat and see someone's folding bicycle already there. It still looked like big enough to fit my back in there as well. My expression reflected my thoughts, and the exact thoughts seemed like it due to her. Alright, I'll put it in here for you. I'll be really nice, but just for tonight, okay? The honest son continued with their mean jokes, but she hoisted my back and loaded it into the back seat for me. The mean jokes were one thing, but couldn't she do something about the eerie smiles of hers? Even more important than that back, I didn't want to leave the shovel here. The shovel could be directly connected to their buried body and me. I started asking her, but could you get my shovel too? To kind of me a clearly dubious expression. The shovel, that's fine with me. Is it important? The more I talked, the worse it gets for me. That's why I felt, so I didn't force myself to answer her. Eventually, I lost about my silence. Takano-san gave a short shrug and sighed. Alright, I understand. You need your shovel, right? You don't need to make such a mean face. Takano-san brought over the shovel that was lying in the middle of the road. I clutched it like I never let go of it again. Takano-san watched me with a puzzled look. Okay, let's be off. Mibara's kind. You live at the Mibara Mansion, don't you? Why does anyone call my house a Mibara Mansion? Because it's actually a mansion. It must be nice to be rich. As she spoke, Takano-san pulled the handbrake and stepped under the gas. After making a skillful U-turn using the shoulder of the road, she steadily increased in speed. From the rearview mirror, that curious place seemed to melt the darkness. Right? Huh? I'm sorry, I didn't quite hear you. What was that? Takano-san suddenly tried to say something to me, but thoughtlessly I didn't catch it. Looking ahead, Takano-san said the same thing one more time. The body, huh? How well is it buried? I thought my heart might beat out of my chest, but I didn't let it show. But my lungs were squeezed tight and I couldn't breathe. But what are you talking about? When burying bodies in mountains like these, you have to bury it fairly deep because wild dogs will often smell the corpse and dig it out. Some human bone, wild dog wings back in its mouth, and it's the insect being uncovered. Police headed up to the mountains. It actually happens pretty often, you know. Hee hee. Pound, pound, clang, clang. Huge voice of bells started ringing in my head. Had I buried it deep so deep that I could say it was absolutely wouldn't be found? The answer was no. I was in such a rush to bury him and get over with that I couldn't deny I possibly buried it too close to the surface. No, that's not right. Anyway, this woman, how does she know? She just passed by here in the car by coincidence, and we ran into each other by coincidence. She had been watching me the entire time from the trees, and once I left, she came back here in her car. It didn't make logical sense, so then why? She my bearer. That's it, you need to kill her. My entire body reawakened, and I couldn't feel my pupils dilate. I could possibly beat her death to shoveling such a small car. Then I could use my hands to strangle her. But she was driving right now. If I strangled her, we might get into an accident. And suddenly Takano-san looked at me. What? No witty retort? For a moment I was surprised what she was talking about. It was more not a very good match. Takano-san disappointed, turning her gaze ahead. I repeated the words she said a few times in my head and finally realized she meant it as a off-color joke. I didn't know whether it was really a joke, but I wouldn't be able to fool her no matter how many times I told. Right now, with her driving a car like this, I couldn't kill her. I'll give an even harder time doing it when we got back to my house. That moment we met would be my best chance, and had I been missed so easily it hurt. After that, Takano-san didn't say a single word. The car was completely buried in almost suffocating silence. What kind of woman had I run into? With everything that happened today, you managed to pull it off. And the very end of it all, I just had to go home and go back to sleep with my bad luck. As my sleepiness gradually overtook me, the anxiety I felt steadily started to look less and less. Is it alright, Kishimibara? You probably should not leave this woman alive. Right now I'm tired. She stopped on the brakes and I jerked my against my seatbelt. That woke me up. I thought I must have fallen asleep by accident. I looked at the window and there was a big building with faint lights on. It was really dark out, but I knew immediately it was my house. I'll go get your folks for you. Would you mind the place for a few minutes while I'm gone? Hee hee. Don't make fun of me, please. Besides, look, I'm fine now. I can walk by myself. Oh my, you want such payment for that? You had to get me to carry you. Did you just let a pretty lady learn to be nice to you? He asked the car, and her son spoke. She left the car and opened up her umbrella. The sound of falling raindrops were fierce, as always. I carefully reached down to rub the ankle as twisted. There was still some pain and a little weirdness, but they weren't that bad anymore. Rather than being happy about how light the moon was, I first regretted this whole thing. If I hadn't twisted my ankle, I could have still taken the option of killing Takano-san right then and there. There probably wasn't much doubt that Takano-san was convinced I was involved in some sort of crime. If she knew about everything that had happened in Sotoko, then she might have even guessed I killed somebody. I clicked Takano-san with the passenger side door for me. You sure you don't need my shoulders? I wouldn't mind doing it again for you. Hee hee. I ignored her answer by getting out of her car by myself. The rain was still pretty intense. I got out my bicycle out of the back seat. I was a bit curious who the other bike belonged to, but it didn't matter right now. Oh, I bet it was Satoshi, man. Oh, I bet that's why she brought that up. I bet it was Satoshi's bike for some reason. I don't know. I took her and saw held the umbrella over me. They pushed my bicycle up to the front door. Thank you very much. I'll be fine now. My ankle hurt so much earlier, and I still did, but it aggravated me that it hadn't even been that bad. It was really seriously terrible luck. Alright, I'll be leaving then. Keep it a secret that we have a nice evening drive together by ourselves, okay? He expressed from Jiro-san. Jiro-san? Oh, she meant Tomatake-san. I suppose she calls him by his first name. His full name must be Jiro Tomatake then. And then the other bike folding on the back seat. I didn't care about if something came to mind. Hey, excuse me, you're from Nimizawa, right? And the day before yesterday, as I walked near the damn half asleep, Tomatake-san talked to me, and the bicycle he's been riding, it was... That bicycle in the back belongs to Tomatake-san, doesn't it? Tantano-san, I think the short for a moment. And why do you think that? I saw him before when I saw him when I met him before. The frame stood out to me. But would that be odd? Do you think it's possible this to be Jiro-san's bike? Hot, yeah. Takano-san, her hair elegantly fluttering peers into my eyes. Oh, there are no bad any breakfast in Nimizawa, are there? Jiro-san would need to be staying in town. If that's so, well, I guess that's right, huh? You can't really walk down to Nimizawa, can you? And there are no buses either. You at least need a bicycle. She didn't need to tell him that. That's why Jiro-san was riding a bike. For Jiro-san's bicycle to be stolen in my car is not him in there. That would be strange, wouldn't it? It would be in Jiro-san was and him himself without a bike. I'd have to have a little Jiro-san, so one put his bike in the car and one not. It wouldn't make sense. As she spoke to Takano-san, my eyes like a hawk. Unfortunately, I didn't really understand. It was so odd. What about this is odd? Aren't you and Tomatake-san friends? I don't really think it would be strange for you to be some reason you had this bicycle in your car, but it would be. What I mean is Jiro-san and his bicycle being in different places in here, so it wouldn't make sense. For those reactions, that means his bicycle can't be his. Do you understand now? Takano-san's runabout way of talking was hard to comprehend, but this eeriness I could feel that was vague, dreadful in it. I didn't like it at all. But the most wild instincts were part of me and warned me not to pry. That's my bicycle. Yours, I picked it up for me, though, so I could deny that it looks alike. I see now. I thought it looked similar. You and I never saw each other tonight, and now she's talking about something completely different. What are you talking about? You and I never saw each other tonight. I stayed there not knowing what to say until I couldn't repeat her eerie, sixth phrase to me again. You and I never met this night. You and I never saw each other tonight. Such a cold and unpleasant crawled up my spine. I knew because I killed a person with my own hands before I came to the conclusion that I only had one chance to beat this poor woman to death to keep her quiet, and I couldn't hesitate, so I could tell that she had arrived at a very damn conclusion. My instincts warned me again. I wish I never met this woman. The faintest I had like a round spell jittering from this woman. I was not did the exact same sense that I was giving off right now. The very particular inspiration, a lack of uncertainty of taking human life for a purpose, and one that only those who had risen above it had everything had. Above it. And that actually, maybe I should have called it a nausea. It meant that I didn't know how to explain this very well, but Takano-san was the same as me. In other words, someone should have been here. Someone I couldn't have let anybody know was here. Someone nobody would have wanted to see. And now that we could calmly pretend as though we never met. Yeah, I wish it was just like I wanted to have nothing else to do with her. She didn't want anything else to do with me either. And she too wanted to make sure that we never met. Both of us wished for the same thing. Our desires was the same, which meant Takano-san's suggestion was extremely practical. And I couldn't outright refuse. If that was fine with you, then sure, whatever. You and I didn't meet this tonight. You're right. This would be the best for you too, wouldn't it? Why do you think that? Are you just asking me that? You can't figure out that on your own, boy? She cut me off. Oops, I didn't mean to skip it. And I found my own house, a place that was to suit the killing. And as if it was a thirst for blood coming from both of us. I would be killed right here, right now. Yeah, then I should have definitely been her as we passed each other. And then grease broke out my body. That's fine. If you want me, then you can come anytime. And I made up my mind. She shook her hair elegantly and turned on her heel. Good. I got my kind person after all. What was good? How? Because she was a kind person. Was that it? I didn't get it. The color sun got into her car. We didn't exchange any word of parting. I performed a massive feat. The killing of obstacles ongoing, yet I didn't feel any accomplishment. On the holy night of the truth I was cursed, I wished to not take in another's life was allowed. On the terribly rainy night when the demons wanted as the inches of your shield someone's will, the demons were never supposed to meet, but suddenly they did. The demons parted ways triumphantly. There was no reason for them to fight, but both their objectives have already been accomplished. With their rain hitting me like a waterfall, my eyes took on the sun through the window. The female demon, her mouth twisted to a distorted, fearless smile. It was too late to kill her, far too late. The first moment was the very first moment we saw each other, being my best chance. And now they were parted like this, I was acutely aware of it. I should have not let her live. She beat the turtle horn quickly and drove her car away in the deluge. The woman who knew what really happened to her disappeared into the dark. As though she was alive, this night would never really end. Just getting to an accident, I thought to myself. And the stout voice once a mud or something and fly first into a tree and die. This was a delusion, wild, flat of fantasy. It was an earnest wish. Yes, it was a command. Die. Die, and keep your mouth shut for eternity, because I have no doubt you're wishing for me to die all the same. My curse upon her faded emptily as the corners and his tail lights disappeared into utter darkness. Her car lights were completely out of sight now. Even the sound of the engine faded. The sound of the heavy rain was inaudible now. I too turned on my heel to draw the curtains of the insane night to open my front door and end it all. I began walking towards the front door. I was covered in mine. I made a squishy sound with every step I took. Squish, squish. Don't mind teaching the bearer. Squish, squish, she'll die. Squish, squish. Her and her be invisible, and she is. Her hand will be invisible, she is. I'll throw her into some flames alive and light her to dance until she's burned to a crisp. I'll burn her to ashes and fires in hell itself until she's supposed as much as she deserves. I wish, I really do. Squish. Huh? Just now, I hadn't taken a step, and yet a footstep. Without much, I turned around. It was her footprint, and I was my own. It was obvious someone else was behind me. It was somebody else there. I was sick of this. Whoever it was, I was sick of everything tonight. This time I would kill them. I killed them without a second thought. I wouldn't hesitate to turn around and dig another hole. But fortunately, there was nobody there. I wasn't going to have to kill any more people tonight. Now I couldn't handle any more of it. Even if I heard an extra footstep each time I stopped, I put it down from just being tired. Oh my god. Thank God it's over. My throat hurts, like, so bad. Like, I was getting so tired from reading. My mouth is dry and so scratchy and sore. This was a really long chapter. Now, I'm glad we actually went through it. But thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see y'all later.